once again another magical game-winning drive by the young phenom Anthony Richardson to beat the Colts' old nemesis, the New England Patriots in Foxborough for the first time since 2006, by the way. Welcome to episode 9 of the Colts Unplugged pod. I am Logan. I go by ProFan Logan. I'm here with my co-host, Ati Logan. What's up, my guy?
What's up, my brother?
Victory Monday, baby.
I know. Retweet if you're...
One of the best days of the week.
I know. Retweet if you're celebrating Victory Monday. Like, come on now. How many teams can say this? 16? I don't know how many were on. Actually, there was no bye weeks this week. Week 13, or that was... Wait, yeah? Yeah, there was no bye weeks this week.
I think there was a couple maybe. But yeah, this week there's definitely... It's definitely the Colts. Week 14 is Colts and Texans and a couple other people.
But... Yeah, a couple other people. We're here to talk about the Indianapolis Colts. Just like you said, won for the first time in Foxborough. You know who the last quarterback was that won in Foxborough?
It's got to be Manning, right?
It's Manning. It's Peyton Manning, 2006.
Yeah, it was definitely Manning. Yeah, I was going to say it was like 2006. That would have been still Manning era. So.
How about that? What company to be in for Anthony Richardson? Anthony Richardson and Peyton Manning, the two teams that have won in Foxborough since 2006 or 2006 on. Like, that's crazy.
Kind of going based off that too. I think as I started the show with, right, this is out of 3 games, you got 2 game-winning legacy drives for Anthony Richardson. Man, oh man, the tune of this season and the tune of that young man's career could be completely different right now if it wasn't for him absolutely clutching up, pulling a Peyton Manning, pulling an Andrew Luck, and really clinging to the old-time cardiac Colts, I might say.
Oh, my God.
And really pulling these wins out of his behind, man. And I think they were absolutely necessary. So I wanted to get your take on that final game-winning drive. Take me through the emotion of it. I know, obviously, you got a 19-play drive, right? Crazy.
80 yards.
You don't see a lot of 19-play drives out there in the NFL nowadays. How are you feeling when the Colts took the field and you knew they had to go 80 yards to either tie or win that game?
It was methodical, man. 19 plays, 80 yards, game-winning drive, second game-winning drive this season in 3 weeks. I mean, that was awesome. And honestly, like, it might be too soon for me to say this, so I'm just gonna say it, even though it's a completely hot take. Anthony Richardson is starting to give me these moments where I'm just like, I feel confident. Like, it's like, give us the ball on offense to go win the game. I feel confident that Anthony Richardson is going to be able to do that for us. And it's an absolutely crazy take to say, so I don't want anyone online that's watching this to clip it or anything. So I don't know if I 100% mean it. But, like, I was nervous. Yeah, like, absolutely I'm nervous because the season – I mean, respectfully, the season came out of that drive. Like, you lose this game, don't even talk about playoffs, like, at that point. I just want to see Anthony Richardson grow every single game, which is fine, too, if they miss the playoffs. But as Colts fans, we obviously want them to make the playoffs, and while Anthony Richardson is playing well, and to be able to see that, like, that was phenomenal. We saw it in LA when Anthony Richardson got a chance to lead a game-tying drive before he didn't get the ball back in overtime. We saw it against the Jets 2 weeks ago. We saw it today against the Patriots. And I understand people saying, hey, 2-9 Jets, 3-9 Patriots, like whatever. This is good defenses. Like Christian Gonzalez, this defensive front, this defensive backfield and the safety, they're really good for the Patriots. And same with the Jets as well. So it's not like he's dismantling like a shitty defense, like a Bengals defense that allowed, 44 points to the Steelers. But raw emotion, like in that moment, obviously I was nervous, but at the same time, I felt like a sense of just like calm. Like Anthony Richardson he's gonna figure this out. Like he's gonna do this. He's not like that obviously pocket guy that's gonna find the defensive holes like Drake May was and just hitting the ball to the right spot in the receiver's hands, but he kind of did that. And then we showed off his legs. He converted 3 fourth downs, one being a 4th and goal. And then to still come back out there, 2-point conversion, kept the ball in his hands as opposed to giving it to Jonathan Taylor, run that baby himself. Like, come on, man. It doesn't get better. Like, as a fan of the Colts, as a fan of a young quarterback and wanting them to succeed, it doesn't get better than that. Like, that was a surreal moment in Colts fans' history, in my opinion.
So what you're saying is Colts wouldn't have won that game yesterday with old Joe Flacco.
This is exactly what I'm saying. Bro, what are they going to do? Like, Anthony Richardson converted 2 fourth downs with his legs. Do you think Joe Flacco's doing that?
I know.
Like, come on.
No, I couldn't agree more. I think Anthony Richardson, these past three games, because I would argue even in the Lions game, he had a good game, right? The box
Yeah.
score maybe didn't show it because of some drops and things of that nature, which we'll get into later.
Hmm.
But I would argue that Anthony Richardson is giving me vibes of sort of like this next generation new type of quarterback, and I'm so glad that the Colts are on that side of the coin, because if you
Yes.
look across the league, I mean, look at the top five quarterbacks, man, in the league right now. They're guys that are dual threat quarterbacks. Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, even Patrick Mahomes at time, right? Like he can run the football when he needs to. We saw that in the Super Bowl, this past Super Bowl, where Patrick Mahomes won that thing with his legs.
It's the QBs you need to
Justin
win in the
Herbert,
league this year. Like you need
I'm
some type
telling
of
you,
dual threat ability.
I'm telling you, man, guys like Justin Herbert, even and Jalen Hurts, right? At times, all these guys that are these top quarterbacks in the league. I feel like the Colts finally have somebody now that can potentially elevate them to that conversation. Obviously, he still needs to continue to gain consistency. He needs to continue to prove it. And the Colts need to continue to build a team around him, but I think he has the talent, all the talent in the world, to be up there. Hopefully, potentially one day in that echelon of
Yeah.
quarterbacks. So it's really fun to see, and like you said, it's exciting and fun to watch Colts football again, right? And
Yes.
that's all we wanted. You and I had talked about that in the very beginning of this podcast. We said if we lose all the rest of our games, but if we at least see Anthony Richardson progress and grow and get better and become the guy, the franchise quarterback, we'd be happy. And
Yeah.
it's at least it's fun football to watch, right?
Yeah. I
And
agree.
I had fun again. I had fun watching that final drive. And
Cardiac
even if it
close. Give me a
wouldn't
heart
have
attack, but
exactly,
I had fun
it's
still.
fun though, like football's about having fun, man. Like that's
Yeah.
why we do this thing. That's why we watch these games. That's why we spend money on this. That's why we spend our time and effort and energy on this, is because it's fun. It's a
Yeah.
hobby, right?
Yeah.
And so couldn't agree more. It was very, very fun to see that, and I think, like you said, he's starting to give some shades and some potential, I guess, views into the future of what this could potentially be.
Yeah.
He gave me some Cam Newton vibe. I'm just gonna say it. He gave me some Cam Newton vibes.
Totally.
Prime Cam Newton vibes this past game, which I love. So I'm like, hey, if that's what we can get out of him, I'd be pretty happy about that.
I just feel like he's so mature now. Like you can tell, like he's like at points he's just so frustrated with himself and the offense. Like he's just so into it. And he was into it earlier, like in the beginning before he got benched. But I feel like he's just so much more just like into it. He's mature. He just seems more of a leader.
Mm-hmm.
Like during the games, it's just awesome to see some of these emotions that's coming out of him. And then also just being able to keep consistent and keep calm throughout every single play that's going on, ups and downs. It's just awesome to see. I saw Zach Hicks actually, Logan, tweet this. And shout out to you, Zach. Like I'm going to read this right now. Anthony Richardson, what he's really good at: sack avoidance, explosive plays, rushing ability, and clutch gene. Like he literally wrote down clutch gene, and I like
Yeah.
100% agree. Like when I started this conversation, I said he kind of gives you that like sense of comfortability. Like, that's what I meant by this. And then Zach Hicks went to say Richardson has so many great pillars to build on. He just needs the game to slow down and to be more comfortable with the check down. He's so damn close. I really hope he gets there.
Mm-hmm.
And you could see like he had like one or two like actual true inaccurate passes. But outside of that, and outside of those two picks, the balls were exactly where they needed to be. The balls were exactly where they needed to be when it comes to that 80-yard drive to end the game. Every single thing was a dot, 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 dot. And then there were some drops, obviously, with Adonai Mitchell and Colin Granson, who doesn't help his stat sheet for all you box score watchers out there. Logan, I got into it with one of my friends yesterday. He was just like, when will Anthony Richardson actually have a good game? He didn't even watch the game. He was just going off the box score. I'm just like, dude, you're just watching the box score.
Yeah.
Like, come to me when you're actually watching the game. He goes, well, the stats show everything. Like, and when is he ever going to have a good stat game? And I'm just like, that's not Anthony Richardson. Like 3 touchdowns, 2 picks, uses his legs. He's inaccurate at times. Those explosive plays, those drops didn't help. But like, for you box scores watchers, like don't watch Colts football because that's not Colts football anymore. That's
Well,
not Anthony Richardson.
and that's a great point. I even made a video about that, about how Colts fans, in one of my takeaways on my takeaway video that I posted on the page, I talked about how as Colts fans we might have to get used to a reality where the box score doesn't always look like it did with Peyton Manning, right? It doesn't always look like it did with Andrew Luck. Like I said, he's a different type of quarterback, right? Like he
Yep.
brings different elements and things that those two quarterbacks can't do. And so we can't just continue to compare this guy to somebody that he's just so different than, and he has so many different abilities and options that he has that they don't have. So
Yeah.
I agree with you. And to that point with the box score stuff, I just thought immediately in my head when you said that, I thought look at Joe Burrow. If you went just by box scores, you would think that Joe Burrow was the best quarterback in the entire National Football League this year. I mean, the dude is filling up the stat sheet every single week, right? But they're losing football games. It's not winning football, right? And so that's also a good point to make, is like you can have great stats, you can fill the stat sheet up, but bottom line, like
You get the
Zach
dub.
X tweeted, you got to have the clutch gene. You got to get the dub. You got
Unfortunately, it's
to
defense
have
for Bengals,
the
but
it
still.
factor. Right, exactly. Yeah, there's other factors at play, but my whole point is that, to all the people that say that they want him to have a great stats game, would you rather him have 400 yards passing and two touchdowns and blah blah blah, all these good box score stats, right? But then the Colts lose, or
Yeah.
would you rather him use his weapons effectively, have an effective game through the air, have an effective game on the ground, and the stats just don't look,
I
I don't
mean,
know, eye popping, but it's a win. It's a dub.
yeah. I mean,
I
I'd
mean,
rather have 200 total yards from Anthony Richardson of offense and 3 touchdowns and a dub, like any day of the week, over. And this guy that was talking to me is a Bears fan, and I think Caleb Williams had
yeah.
like 120 yards passing. He was 16 for 32 or something, like a 50% completion percentage and 0 touchdowns. And I'm just like, dude, like, what are you saying, bro? Like, I want to win at the end of the day. And Anthony Richardson's wins and stats aren't going to look like your typical quarterbacks. Like the plays he makes to keep, like, is it
Yeah.
crazy for me to say, like, it's not crazy at all. He's the reason we're in this game. And I think this is a good segue to talk
Yeah.
about the things we'll talk about things we liked. I want to talk about the things that we didn't like first, right? And one of the
Yeah.
biggest things
Good.
were no pass catching help, no receiving help, outside of a couple of clutch plays. But outside of that, it was just like, Kylan, my brother, the ball is in your hand. It's right here. Just a seam route. The 40-yard play. It would have been first and goal with like a minute left or something like that. You just absolutely dropped it. There goes 40 yards from Anthony Richardson stat sheets, you box score watchers. Adonai Mitchell, 40 yards, dart, dot. You're so good at separation. Just catch the ball. That's what you're known for. You're known for, you have the best hands. Like you probably
Hands,
have the
yeah.
best hands out of this out of this draft. And then you just drop that ball in your hands. Like, another 40 yards gone from Anthony Richardson's stat sheet, right? If all your box scores watchers really care about that. But like, I didn't like that. I didn't like that there was no help from that side of the equation. And then Logan, I know you're as pissed off as I am about this. Don't even get us started on the defensive side of the ball. Like, why can't we ever play complementary football? Why is it always, one side is good, one side's bad, and vice versa? Like, defense. I thought Gus Bradley, you were on like a Linsanity run, like Gusanity run, I'll say. Gusanity run for
Yeah.
like weeks. And then against the statistically worst offense in the league, you do that? Bend don't break until you find a quarterback that can dissect you? Like,
I'll never understand. I agree with you. The things I didn't like, pretty obvious. Defense, right, is the top thing I didn't like, and then yeah, obviously the pass catcher. So we're definitely on the same page there. And the defensive side, it bewilders me why Gus Bradley continues to trot out the same soft ass zone coverage shell defense against Drake May, a rookie quarterback that has shown at times this year, if you do mix up the coverage a little bit and you get after him and you blitz him a little bit, he's shown that he can turn the ball over. He's a
bad O
rookie,
line.
right?
Bad O line.
Bad
Horrible O
O
line.
line, doesn't have any protection up front, yet You just let him sit back there and just hit crossers all day long. Little crosser here, little 5 yard uh, screen pass here, little swing pass here, little, oh, it's 2nd and 15, 2nd and 19. Let's just run
First
a
down.
real basic crossing concept, a real basic slant crossing concept, and just let them pick it up all the way down the field.
Or 3rd and 1,
Again,
let's play a soft zone. 6 yards back, and they need 1 yard. And like, bro just sat in the zone. I think like Booty hit like
yeah,
a curl route, sat in the zone after 3 yards, automatic first down.
yeah.
What the hell are you doing?
And obviously too, it's not all on Gus, right? As we know, like the defense was horrendous at
Abysmal
tackling. Like
tackling.
it
Oh my God,
legitimately looked
yes.
like they had forgotten to play football. Like really, like it looked like they needed to go back to tackling drills and hey, like this, don't lead with your head and wrap up, that type of stuff, fundamental stuff.
Yep.
So that didn't help, but yeah, man, it was the combination of that with just terrible defensive schemes by Gus Bradley. I talked about it the last episode. Something has to be done. I think Ballard. Hopefully, Ballard is seeing it if he's still here. Something has to be done about the the tight ends, bro.
Oh my God.
Covering tight ends. I'm saying covering tight ends on defense
Yes.
and tight ends on the offense. So we'll get to that in a second. But
Linebackers
dude,
can't guard in
Austin
coverage.
Hooper and Hunter Henry. Kevin Bowen said it best today on Colts Corner. I heard him. He said they looked like prime Tony Gonzalez and Travis
Yes.
Kelsey out
Yes.
there. Like crazy, bro.
Yes.
What is going on? Zaire Franklin's getting mossed every play, just looking like a scrub. I'm like, what is happening out here in the pass coverage that is so difficult for Zaire Franklin and EJ Speed to comprehend, to figure out? I didn't know.
And have you noticed this trend? It's
But
what every offensive coordinator we play against is doing. It's like, let's put Zaire and EJ in coverage because they drop soft zone every single time, play
oh
cover
my
3.
god,
Let's just target them every single time. It's
and like I said, them having high tackle stats. We talked about it, Addy. Is like there's a reason they have so many tackles. They're inflated. Those are
Yeah.
inflated stats because they're giving up. They're giving up
The
in a
defense
12-yard pass
Like,
or a 15-yard pass before they tackle the offensive player. So, like, of course you're gonna have 105 freaking
It's-
tackles for the
it's-
season because you're just giving up.
it's mad.
a pass every
Defense
time.
on the field longer equates to more tackling. Like at the end of the day, and it's like
Yeah.
that's great. I'm so happy they lead the league in tackles,
Yeah.
but like, how about not? How about we're not on the field and Anthony Richardson
How
has
about-
more than 8 pass attempts in the first half
Yeah.
because of that? Like,
How about pass breakups? Where they rank in pass breakups? I would like to see that.
I know
I'm sure
Jalen
they're
Jones
probably
is
not
up
very
there.
high.
Jalen Jones is actually
Yeah.
top 10 corner.
I mean, as a
in
unit,
regards to pass.
though, as a
As a
team.
unit. Yeah, as a unit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like especially the linebacker unit, because yeah, like I said, like I saw somebody on Twitter, a Colts fan on Twitter, he was like, Zaire Franklin had a great game. He had like 12 tackles or something. I was like, no, he didn't. I was like, he had one of the worst games I've ever seen a linebacker have. Like there was a reason he had 10.
Zaire
12
quoted
tackles.
that tweet, and he was just like, he said something too, like today or something like that. But that's why, once again, you don't look at the box score because it tells you one thing
Yeah.
when we're actually watching it with our eyes and saying, respectfully, Zaire, you're a great player. You did not have a great game.
Right.
Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And I'm not a football player,
No,
but like,
yeah.
I'm not out
The
there.
in the film room, he's gonna get roasted. And that's all I'm saying. Like he's gonna get roasted. They're gonna see quite a few plays where he was looking a little silly out there.
Yeah, 100%. And speaking to this defense, before we switch over to the other things we don't like, speaking on this defense, outside of just like the soft coverage and stuff like that, I think they got bailed out. Like, this game could have been a shit ton worse than it was. Like that lucky ass pick, Julian Blackman at the goal line. Like that's another 7 points, respectfully. Like that happens 1 in every 100 times. Like that doesn't happen naturally or usually. So it's like this game could have been way over. Joey Sly, is that the kicker for? Who's the kicker for the Patriots? Sly shanked like a 25-yard, 30-yard field goal, 32-yard field goal, or something like that. Like that's another 3 points. It just feels like this defense cannot get a stop. We barely got to see the offense like at all, and they're playing from behind. And the crazy part is like this. As soon as I saw that first drive, I was like, the Colts are winning by like 25 points. As soon as I saw Anthony Richardson in that first drive, just how methodical he looked. but the defense could not get off the damn field to give Anthony Richardson that chance to do that.
Yeah. No, it's so bad, and it was both sides too. It was I can't say that the run defense was any better. The run, they were getting gashed by Ramondre Stevenson and
And
Antonio
Antonio
Gibson.
Gibson.
Like,
Did that not remind you of
come
that
on,
Tony Pollard run?
come on.
The one, it was like
Yeah,
12
did.
yards out. Like, it's
No, man,
crazy.
it was embarrassing. It was so embarrassing. There really wasn't a lot of bright spots. I don't know if I can really say, hey, this was a legitimate bright spot of the defense, because Blackman's pick, like you said, was kind of lucky
Pure
a little
luck.
bit. Like
Pure luck. Not
he
even
kind
kind
of.
of.
I mean, obviously, he was right place, right time, right? So, congrats on that. But yeah, weren't a lot of bright spots, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I agree with you though. Switching over to the offensive side, I think there were a couple more things that you can point to, obviously, that were things that we like.
Oh,
On the
yeah.
dislike side, on the offensive side,
Drops.
other than the drops, there wasn't really a whole other lot that I could point to. I really liked the offensive line play. We talked
Oh,
about that.
loved it.
I
Loved
liked
it.
I liked Steichen's ability to stick with the run, right? We gave
Yep.
JT 24, 25 touches there. So that was good. And he definitely, there were a couple, dude. I know you watched the whole game too. So like there were a couple where I saw a way that
I
Jonathan
thought he was gone.
Taylor was
Is that what you were
about
gonna
to
say?
bust it out. I was like, oh, there was like 2 or 3 times I was like, oh, is this a
He's got-
69-yard touchdown?
Yes.
I was like, oh my God. And
I'm
then
like
he would get
2021 all
bottled up.
over
But
again.
yeah, it was close though, man. There were a couple times where he almost housed that thing.
Yeah.
But that was encouraging to see. I would say other than that, maybe some of those deep balls, like I said, definitely some of those deep balls you'd like to have back. We talked about it before with Anthony Richardson. Sometimes I think he's so aggressive, and he'll get better with this. I think he's so aggressive sometimes that instead of taking the occasional check down with
I think I know what
a
you're
wide
talking about.
open
That
back
one
or
play.
like a crossing route, yeah, or even sometimes just tucking and running it. We talked about that too. I
Yes.
think Richardson, he is so gifted. We saw it so many times, especially at Florida. He can go for like a 60, 70-yard rushing touchdown if he wanted to, like prime Cam Newton stuff we're talking about. And sometimes you'll see him like pull the ball down and then he kind of second guesses it and just darts it down the field. And I'm like, hey, if you aren't fully confident in that throw there and you think there might be a little cover, just tuck that thing, baby.
You know he can break a
You're
tackle.
gonna get a first down.
He can break a tackle, even if
He's
there's
gonna
one
break a
person in his
tackle,
way.
yeah.
Like,
I mean, I think that's where his next development will be, is he'll learn when to use the scramble, because he's really good at the quarterback design runs. But
really good.
yeah, I would say a dislike is I disliked his hesitancy sometimes to scramble, because sometimes he's so effective in the running game where it's like, hey, you got to know when to do that. You got to know when to take off like Lamar does. You got to know when to take off like Josh Allen does. You got to know when
Yeah.
to take off when Justin Herbert does. So that
Yeah.
would be my only other really dislike, I would say.
I'd say my few dislikes on the offensive side. There's not many at all. I think outside of that Colin Granson drop, big drop.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I think the tight ends kind of came to play. I know Malik Cox had 2 big catches. Andrew Ogletree had 1 or 2 big catches, and he was actually the highest graded player on the Colts. If you don't know if you knew that yesterday, Andrew Ogletree.
Ogletree, yeah.
Yeah. So that
Great
was
in the blocking game.
it's
in the
great.
blocking
It was
game.
really good to see.
Mhm.
Just that, and then Will Mallory. Can we get an applause for Will Mallory? Where the fuck have you been, man? Why do they have you inactive?
Will Mallory
Like-
sighting.
Yeah, one catch became from a 4th and 10 to a 4th and 10 to a 4th and 2 because of that. Like that was a drive extender. Like I love you. Continue to do that. Continue to activate him. Deactivate Colin Granson even if you want to, even though we like you a lot. But if you need to deactivate him, do your thing. My one thing too is I know there's 2 throws that AR would obviously like to have back. That first tip pick, which was just a really good play on the defensive side of the ball. If AR could just keep it a little bit higher, and honestly, that second pick too, like. That second pick, he could have led Alec Pierce, I think, a little bit more to the left, but that was just a hell of a play by Gonzalez. Like he just
hell of a
undercut that perfectly while being like, you think he was like a yard or 2 behind Alec Pierce when he was running that crosser over the middle, and still was able to come in and undercut that. So maybe if Anthony Richardson could do a little bit more on that, a little bit more to the left, but that's something that's going to come with just time and playing time, knowing when to throw those darts, knowing when to just put that nice little touch on it. So,
And Gonzalez is he's going to be an all-pro, right? He's going to be a guy that's in this
oh,
league
it
for a long
has to be.
time. So, yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, he's very talented. So you're going to have some plays where the corner just beats you, right?
Yeah,
Sometimes you run
100%.
into just a really good corner. So I agree with you, though. Yeah, a little bit behind Pierce there, but yeah, all in all, quite a bit to like about the offensive side.
You can tell they
Defense,
missed
though,
Josh Downs, though, a little bit.
we're set.
Definitely missed Josh Downs
Yeah,
yesterday.
they definitely missed that inside slot guy who they could really rely on to run some of those like easy seam routes or out routes.
I was hoping for another continued
quarterback
breakout game from Mitchell, but he was kind of irrelevant and had that drop pass too, which didn't help his case. But he could have easily finished with 50 yards and a tutty.
One play I wanted to highlight too. I definitely think one throw that I think AR would like to have back that we didn't highlight is that throw actually in the end zone to Ati Mitchell,
yeah,
where he kind of tried to like one hand it and he sort of was out of bounds. If AR would have thrown that maybe slightly more inside to make him work back to the ball a little bit more, they would have thrown that flag for sure.
That's fair. Yeah,
they would have thrown defensive pass interference. Yeah, because the defender didn't turn around at all. The defender was literally like this and didn't play the ball at all.
Yeah,
and he just jumped up and like tried to like one hand catch it. So
I think best case scenario was a PI because I don't know if there's any quarterback that's going to be able to make that throw.
Yeah,
or something like that.
I don't know if AD would have caught it, but it definitely, if he would have thrown a little bit better of a ball, it could have been a PI.
You know what we call that in Indianapolis? What we call those balls? The Carson Wentz. The holy underthrow for PI. How many calls did we get on that in 2022?
Look, AR, we know you're strong, but we need you to underthrow.
We need you to Carson Wentz.
He's like I don't know how, coach. My arm, I got a rocket arm. I can't underthrow it.
Yeah. No, just give us one underthrow.
So, one underthrow game. But overall, lots of like, and very impressed again with the poise of not just Anthony Richardson, because you got to give it up to the Colts, the entire Colts offense and defense there at the end. The defense did allow that to happen by getting a 3-and-out.
Yes.
Right? They got a 3-and-out.
Much needed, finally.
To prepare that, right? And then when the game was on the line, the pass catchers, they stepped up on some 4th and 3 situations, 4th downs, right? People caught passes when they needed to, and the offensive line moved people when they needed to, especially on that
See what happens?
2-point conversion.
When you give him time, you give AR time in the pocket. Most quarterbacks, but especially AR, you give him time in the pocket, he's going to do his thing, man.
Yeah, I saw that he had like I think it was a PFF stat. I think it was like either 9th best or something like that as far as his completion percentage and quarterback rating when he is not pressured. So like when
I
he's
gotta look
not
into that because
pressured,
I believe that. 100% believe that. Yeah.
Yeah. When he's not pressured, he's doing just fine. It's just when he's like running for his life and there's I noticed he definitely struggles heavily with pressure up the middle. So if there's pressure coming from the guards, they're getting pushed back. He struggles with that a little bit because he goes off platform and
Yeah, I mean the two upgrade. I mean Nelson played well, upgraded right tackle, which was great. Danny Pinter, have yourself a game, like 3rd string center. Yeah. You did pretty damn well with Tanner Bortolini out. So
before we dip here, because I got a couple minutes before we got to hop off, but I wanted to highlight at the end here. Give me your offensive MVP, and if you can, give me your defensive MVP.
I mean, offensive side of the ball, like offensive side of the ball is great. Like you can go a lot of people, honestly. Like offensive side of the ball, I'm going to highlight a couple people that I really like. Anthony Richardson, obviously, hell of a game. You're the reason we won that game. Jonathan Taylor, you got yourself going, but it wouldn't have been the case if it wasn't for a phenomenal play by the offensive line. Pittman had some big catches. Pittman had 2 big blocks. I posted on Twitter. Huge blocks in that final drive. Like just pancaked. And he probably hates the pass from what happened in 2021 when he got ejected. But huge blocks. Just pancaked 2 defenders. That was awesome to see. So the offensive side of the ball, you balled out. Defensive side of the ball. I know Tyquan Lewis, didn't he have a sack after being out the entire last couple of games? Or
I know
DeForest Buckner had a good game.
Yeah.
And he had a good game. D-Buck had a pretty good game. dude, I don't. Can I combine defense
We
and
just
special teams because Roberto Sanchez,
yeah.
dog,
Yeah.
amazing
We
punts.
might just have to give the defense a non MVP this week. They
Yeah.
just don't get one, unfortunately.
What about you? So I'm assuming none for the
I'm gonna
defensive,
go.
but
Yeah, I guess I'll just go nobody for defense because I was thinking and I was like, I don't know if I really feel comfortable with giving somebody one.
yeah.
Uh, I'm gonna go. My offensive MVP for the game against the Patriots is Mark Glowinski. Hell of the
Woo!
game. Hell of the game for him. He was 7 months removed from football, so he hasn't played football in 7 months professionally. For him to come in and step in and just pretty seamlessly be able to move guys, pretty seamlessly be able to provide great protection on that right guard slot, which had been an atrocious area for the Colts in weeks past. I mean, Dalton Tucker was letting anybody and everybody through,
Through
and
that
I
shit.
mean that.
Yep.
He really shored up that right side and was able to help Jonathan Taylor get that run game going a little bit more. And again, kept that right side of the pocket very clean for Anthony Richardson. So, and even on the last play, even on the 2 point conversion, I think he made a great block and was able to actually get some push. And AR was able to kind of slide right through there, that right side in
Yeah.
between the guard and the tackle for the 2 point conversion. So, yeah, hell of a game by Big Glow, and we definitely missed him for sure.
We did. We did. As fans, and I'm sure the Colts offense and Anthony Richardson
Yes.
especially missed him. What else do you got? You got any last thoughts before we call it on the Colts game? I know we got a bye week. Stay healthy,
Yeah, we got a
guys.
bye week, so I think we'll probably. You still want to try to do an episode on
Yeah,
Thursday and maybe like a
probably do
different
one.
type of setting. Yeah.
Yeah, probably some new setting next week, guys, for you guys that are listening, and something for the bye week. It is going to be our first bye week too, as Colts Unplugged pod co-owners. So
Yes.
you're going to give us time to adjust with this too.
Yes. 100%. No, other than that, yeah, enjoy Victory Monday and enjoy the bye week, everybody. So the
It's gonna
great
be
thing about
nice
bye weeks, guys,
watching football
yeah,
without having to
it's
have
gonna be
cardiac
nice
Colts
watching
on.
football. No stress, right?
Yep.
No zero stress. And again, the great thing about the bye week is that I can guarantee you this: the Colts will not lose
Yes.
next week.
Yes. One more thing,
Vouch for
Logan,
that.
before we leave. One more thing before we leave. Go Browns. Go Jameis Winston.
Go
Do your
Browns
thing tonight.
tonight. Hey,
Do your thing tonight.
go Browns and Broncos. I hope you lose every single game
Hope
for
you
the
lose
rest of the
out.
year.
Yep. Hope you lose out. I
Peace
hope
out,
you have a
Colts
phenomenal
Nation.
quarterback, but